Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this can be my review for Girl Meets World, Season 1, Episode 12, Girl Meets the Forgotten. And I really like this episode. The past two episodes I have not loved. I did not like Girl Meets Crazy Hat very much at all. I thought last week's was just fun. Really, it was just a fun episode. But this episode I thought was probably one of the best episodes in a while. Like, the past two have not been that good. This one I thought was very well done. And I really like the message of this episode. I think the message of this episode was one of the best messages they've done in the show so far. And I really like the message that they were trying to get across in this episode. I thought it was definitely a very good message. I really like what was going on in this episode. And everything was just really, really good in my opinion. I'm definitely really looking forward to the next episode, which I'll talk about. But let's just get to this episode, because overall I really liked it. And again, the message they were trying to portray was one of the best messages they've done. I don't know if it was one of the... I think it was one of the best episodes of the season, personally. I think it was. But I'm not sure. But let's just get to it. So basically, this episode's about elective day. And elective day is when you get to basically choose your electives. And Riley asked Topanga why she didn't wake her up, because the earlier she and Maya gets up, the better chance they have of getting the good electives. And Topanga said she tried to wake her up 3 times, but Riley didn't wake up. And Riley says she has to do it 6 times. That was kind of a funny scene. But luckily, Maya woke her up. Topanga asks what electives they're hoping for, and Maya says they're hoping for none of them and wants to get out of them. But Riley tells her that's not going to happen because these are service electives, which basically means that they have to do them. They're required to. There's no, oh, you can do this, but, there's no, they have no choice. They have to do these electives. And, yeah, so they basically have no choice but to do these electives. So basically, she's hoping for none of them, but Riley tells her that's not going to happen because they want to give them jobs. And Maya asks how they can work and go back to school. And then Corey comes down, and I thought that was so well done. He's like, how can we work and go back to school? And Corey's like, hello. I thought that was really funny. And he tells him he does it every day. They have, this planned out, skit, something called Parent Theater. That was hilarious, honestly. That was probably one of the funniest scenes so far. I really loved that. I thought it was definitely one of Corey and Topanga's funniest scenes on the show. I thought that was really well done. And then Corey heads to work, and Topanga talks to girls about when she went to law school. She had 2 part-time jobs, and Riley says now her life is very easy, and they leave to go to school, and Topanga's now by herself. She's about to leave for work, and she realizes she forgot to wake up Augie. I thought that was a good way to start the episode. Augie's not in the episode, though, which was fine. He didn't really need to be, but this was, I think the first episode where Augie was not in it. So Corey then asked the class about the Great Depression, and Riley says she thought it was called the Grand Canyon, and Corey explains some of the Great Depression is with a sentence from Farkle, and Corey talks about how the people that were lost in the Great Depression, basically, were basically taken for granted for the first place and now discarded and called the Forgotten. That's why this episode is called Girl Meets the Forgotten. And Lucas says how that could happen. Riley says people are still taken for granted today. She asks if they do. And basically, Corey says he doesn't know, but that the reason he is telling them this is so they don't take people for granted. And Corey basically says he doesn't know, but that the reason he's telling this is that so they don't. And Corey asks Riley if she takes someone for granted. And Riley thinks of Maya and thanks her for being her best friend. I thought that was a good scene. And Maya says she knows, and Riley says for the first time she actually understands something he tried to teach them. And Riley and Maya are then at the cafeteria and talking about the electives. And Maya asks why they call them electives if they make them do them. And they then go up to the lunch lady, this lunch lady, Gerolyn, who I really like the actress that played her. I thought she was very good in this episode, definitely. Gerolyn is this lunch lady. They're kind of insulting her food, but they don't think she's hearing them when she is. And they think the food's very disgusting, even though she's made some of the food herself. And Maya says she doesn't care what elective she gets as long as it's not cafeteria duty. And Corey's then talking to the lunch lady. You can see they have a very good sort of friendship, He's joking around saying he hopes none of the kids have her for cafeteria duty because she's one tough cookie, as he calls her. And Corey then asks all of them if they actually eat the food, and they say they don't. And Maya then asks Lucas and Farkle if their volcano actually erupts, and then it finally erupts. That was kind of a pointless scene. But then the bell rings, and Corey says, wait a second. He tells them, they're not leaving, because he asks where they're all going, and he asks the lunch lady. And then we see Harley. If you remember, Harley was Corey's high school bully. It was great to see him again, because Corey actually assigned him that job of being, that job of being a bully. I thought that was hilarious to watch that he actually ended up being one. I thought that was great. And he asked Gerolyn if when they don't eat her food, it makes her feel bad, and she says it does. And he then asks the janitor Harley, Corey's, old high school bully, as I said, if it makes him feel bad when they don't clean up their trash. And he says he feels bad, but he actually deserves it because he did some pretty messed up stuff, which he did. He did some pretty messed up shit to Corey. He really was a bad bully, and he really was a bully to him. So Corey says that they didn't clean up and are leaving all of them to do the work. And then Corey says he's going to give them their electives. And I thought this scene was so well done. This scene was so funny. He's like, well, you're elected, he says to Riley Meyer. He's like, well, you're elected, and I hope you didn't see this coming, and I bet you didn't see this coming. He gives Riley Meyer cafeteria duty, and Lucas says that's the worst elective in the school besides janitorial services, which him and Farkle will be taking, and Harley gives them their orders, and they're very displeased as well. And Riley Meyer then all dressed up for cafeteria duty, and they compliment each other. And Gerolyn says she is not the cutest thing. She says, "Am I not the cutest thing ever?" So Riley then tries to give her a fashion tip, and she says she has her own way of fashion. I thought that was really funny. And she tells them they will be peeling potatoes, and when they have completed that, they place the potato in the pot, and that is all they do. So basically, that's their job, they're peeling potatoes and everything. And basically, she leaves to go prepare tomorrow's lunch, and she asks them what they do one more time, and assures them this is all they're doing. She tells them there's one thing, that this is their class for 1 week, but for her, she cares very much what happens back there. And she says she will always be there to take them home, and she will always get to know her kids, but she leaves to go prepare lunch, and Riley tells Maya this should be easy, but as soon as she leaves, Maya's already disobeying the rules, because she sees these spices, basically, and she wants the lunches to basically taste better. When you have, really bad school lunches, I'm gonna admit, my school lunches last year were terrible. However, luckily, they fired the, people that made the food, because they were not good at what they do. It's not that they weren't doing their job, they were, but, they're not good at what they do. They're really not good at what they do, just to be honest. I personally don't think they're good at what they do. But, basically, basically, I thought that was definitely, basically, she leaves to go prepare tomorrow's lunch, and she asks them what they do one more time, and, basically, she always gets to know, she said she always gets to know, her kids. I already read this. Basically, she puts the spices in the pot to make the food taste better, and I love that, Maya did that. I can't hear you thing again. I thought that was hilarious. And Farkle says he can't believe how dirty the hallway was, and Lucas says he always thought the hallways were neat, and Lucas asks how much, puke there can be in the school, and Harley says the students always think they can eat more than they can, and he tells them that he knows all of their names, and he sees the trash on the floor, picks it up, and Lucas asks if this happens all the time, and Harley says yes, but it's his job. And this really starts the message of the episode, which was that these people really do care for them, but they don't really say thank you to them, they don't really acknowledge them, they don't really seem to care that they're doing their job. They don't really seem to they don't care, it seems, that's what it seems with it, with, what's going on here. I thought that was definitely, very, very interesting. I really like the message of the episode, definitely. I really thought the message was definitely a really good one. So, they're then, basically, Riley, Topanga then, Topanga comes home with groceries, and, they're both, so tired at this point, but they're only to work for 45 minutes, and Topanga tells them that she has a lot of work to do and can't do all this right now. Riley didn't clean off the table, like Topanga said to, and she's obviously angry about that. And Riley says they are not being sympathetic to them, and Topanga asks if they can help her with the groceries because other people had a hard day, and they are still refusing, and Topanga says she will just do it herself. I really feel bad for Topanga in this episode, they were really being rude to her. So Riley realizes that the lesson Corey was telling them about the forgotten is they are basically taking people for granted. No shit, Riley, seriously, it's obvious that's what was gonna happen. The second that Corey said, don't take people for granted, I knew they were gonna take someone for granted. I just knew it. I did. That's the honest truth. I knew when they said, don't take people for granted, I knew they were going to. That's just, let's be honest, we all knew that. With the second that he said it, I knew it. So, basically, Riley and Maya come back from cafeteria service, and they say they have been served, except no one smiled. Basically, Gerolyn tells them this is not the job for patting them on the back, and she tells them today they're going to learn the hard part, which is when the bell rings, and they're scooping the potatoes and putting them on a plate, and at first, it seems like, oh, this is just what they're going to do, but the kids then come in for lunch, and Riley and Maya freak out. They come back from cafeteria service and say they have been served, except no one smiled, no one said thank you, And, it's really sad because this is basically what she lives with all the time. This is what Gerolyn, does. And it was definitely really sad, to see that. I thought that was definitely a very sad scene because it's just like, it's really sad that she does so much work and she's treated that way. In my school, we don't treat the cafeteria people that way. They're actually really nice in my school. They actually give good food, and I always say thank you to them. Like, I always think that's a good thing to do because, it's their job. They took a lot, it takes a lot of effort to prepare that food, It's better to say thank you than to say, if the best thing to say is thank you, and I think that was definitely a very good message. So, Gerolyn says now they're going to face the actual hard part, which is rinsing the plates off. It's actually about sort of, I think, more of, how people respond to them. And they rinse the plates off, but then they see down the conveyor belt comes a mountain of trash. And after this, they are done. Gerolyn finally tells them they are done. She says, hit the showers, but they decide to clean up in another way. They go to the conveyor belt to get clean, and she tells them thank you, and they tell her thank you. And she says they can call her Gerolyn, and that was a very sweet scene. I thought that scene was really well done. And Farkle and Lucas are then back from janitor duty, and they think they are done, but they're not because there's more vomit. And Gerolyn then realizes that they added spice into the potatoes, and I knew that she was going to find out eventually because of what Maya did. And Maya reveals what she did. My only issue with that is I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that, but, what are you going to do? That wasn't the plot of the episode, so I thought that was funny. So, basically, they then come back and are extremely tired, and they're just like, wow, Gerolyn's really good at her job. We're not good at her job. I thought that scene was hilarious because they're just so tired from what they do, but they had such an impact. I thought that was definitely really funny, and I personally really enjoyed that. So, they then are talking to the class about the Forgotten, and I really like the scene. They basically ask the class to tell them who this is, and, random student says, oh, that's the cafeteria lady. But she then tells them their name, and Riley introduces her and tells her that her job is not easy, but she knows every single one of their names, and, she has a very important job. And then it's Harley's turn, and Farkle is, like, hyperventilating. He's literally like, this is literally what he's like. I thought that was hilarious. Really, Corey Fogelmantis' acting is definitely improving. I know I said at first his acting was, like, not as good as I wanted it to be, but I think his acting is definitely improving. So, Lucas says even though Janet, Harley would never be, even though Janet would never be their first choice, it was a really great experience, and they wouldn't change it for anything, and they tell him thank you, and Riley and Maya say the same to Gerolyn, and I thought that scene was very well done, and then we get probably one of the best scenes, probably one of my favorite scenes of the episode. Topanga's home, and Riley takes her briefcase, hugs her mom, and tells her she loves her, and Topanga asks what this is for, and Riley says she's always working, and she knows her job is not easy, and if she ever forgot to say thank you, she's sorry, and she said the same to Corey. And that scene was very well done, in my opinion, because it just really goes the message of the episode that, people don't really take the time to say thank you to those who really put a lot of effort in and a lot of, time, work for us. I definitely thought that was a very well done scene. So, Riley and Maya go up to Gerolyn, ask her how her day is, and she says she's fine. They've established a nice little friendship with her, and Harley is then about to take out Lucas and Farkle's trash, where they do that themselves. And you can see that they really are following, what Corey says. And I really love what Corey says here. He says, it's a very funny thing about teachers. People don't realize that without a lesson, the teaching, there would be no growth. And basically tells them that their teaching is a basic necessity of life. And that teachers are the foundation of our whole country and our whole world. And teachers should be appreciated and never forgotten. And that's basically how the episode ended. And overall, I thought this episode was fantastic. I really loved it. I thought it was definitely one of the best in a while. While the past two have not been the best, this one really did improve. I really like the storyline this episode. I thought, there's actually some really funny scenes in this episode. But next week's episode looks really interesting. Apparently, Farkle has some sort of secret that's going to come out. They're saying it's a special episode. Now, I think I know what they're doing with this character, but I'm not going to say because I don't want to sound like an idiot. Because it's probably not true, but I'm not really sure. I don't know. We'll have to see in the next episode. Next episode looks really good, though. I'm looking forward to it, definitely. But overall, I really like the message of this episode. And again, guys, if you guys haven't gotten the message yet, I will talk about the message because I always like to talk about this. The real message of this episode is to not take the ones you love for granted. Take the ones that you care about the most, the ones that do things for you, they have jobs too. They are just normal people, and I like showing, especially from a perspective of a janitor and a cafeteria worker. When you hear about jobs, people always say, oh, I don't want to end up like a janitor or a cafeteria worker, but you can see that their job is not easy, but at the same time, they are humans too. So I like that they really touched upon that in this episode, because the two people who are neglected the most are a janitor and a cafeteria worker, and some and cafeteria ladies, definitely. Now, at my school, it's not really the case. We have, like, some of the nicest custodial services there, like, we have really nice lunch ladies, things like that. It's not like that in my school, but it's sad to say that a lot of schools are definitely like that, and I thought this episode worked really well, definitely, and I really like the message of, just basically taking care of yourself, and I thought that was definitely a very well done message, and I personally really enjoyed it. But let me know what you guys saw of this episode. Overall, again, I really enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of The Knick. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.